Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Hearthstone. I don't even know if I really want to call them recording sessions now because we're still going with the same plan of getting all the quests done, almost done off screen because I've really run out of extra time and I've really run out of things to talk about. For a brief second here I thought I was gonna do an announcement. I'll talk about that, but it turns out the announcement that Hearthstone made wasn't even worth making. So we need the victory here real quick with a druid or hunter. We'll do hunter and then a warrior because we don't want to play paladin, and a warlock. So let's just start with warlock. I'm already over 100 packs, so everything now is gravy. I got like 20 gold just playing here. So everything now is working towards our next 100 pack thing. So Whisper of the Old Gods expansion hasn't even come out yet. It's not coming out for another month. I've got a whole month now where I can just work on getting gold to get even further ahead. Much like my recording schedule on my YouTube channel, it's the same concept. Try to get ahead, try to keep everything as high as possible. That way, if something bad happens and I need to spend gold in Hearthstone, I can do it. And if something bad happens and on my YouTube channel, then everything should be scheduled fine.
Powering up. Portal
And
online.
And end the turn.
Job done.
So yeah, Hearthstone made an announcement that like on your friends list, when you're here, they're gonna display your highest rank between wild and ranked. Hardly anything that's really worth mentioning at all.
I can fix anything.
It's kind of a dumb. Let's see, do I want to kill this guy? I think I do, just so I get a turn ahead.
Job done.
I'm starting to think that there might be more strategy than I realize in just trying to be a turn ahead, just playing board control more than I do. Other announcements, like nothing's going on. I finished Ghostbusters, a video game. I hope I finished it. I'm uploading it now. Surprisingly, none of it's been content ID'd yet. I was really thinking that I waited way too long to do that, and that content IDs were going to come fast and furious on that level. Just by the Ghostbusters music, which admittedly doesn't play that much. Speaking of music, I turned down the audio a lot on that recording, so that's going to be an interesting thing. Honestly, for me, when I turn it up, it sounds like I'm getting a lot of room noise recorded louder than what they were, and I don't think I will be continuing with that level of audio going forward. The reason why it was quiet is I think it's one of the first games where you had a master volume that you turned to 50 and you turned the others to 50, and it actually turned it down to like 25% and was kind of balanced that way. Now, of course, other people may turn around and say, nope, it's fine, it's perfect. It's exactly what we wanted. You've been too loud in all the others. But I don't really buy into that myself right now. Ghostbusters, a video game, was an incredibly short, like 8-episode recording. So I'm still behind on my AAA games in that time slot, and I'm now officially don't really have any games specifically that need to cover as far as my schedule. Nothing really new has been announced. We still haven't gotten into E3, so I'm going to the Assassin's Creed franchise. I'm going to play Assassin's Creed 1. I seriously doubt I'm going to try to do any of the collectibles, so it's going to be kind of a much faster experience going through that than what it was when I first played the game. If I remember right, playing Assassin's Creed 1 and trying to get all the collectibles required me just to print out maps and actually mark off the things on the maps because there was like no in-game marker or anything there, and there's so many feathers that you collect, and I don't think it even gets you anything really worth it.
Give me a quest.
So I'm feeling more like I'm just gonna run through the story, and frankly because the Assassin's Creed story is the way it is, not very important in its
Job's
overarching garbage, it's probably worthless to do it. Plus I have so many of them to play. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game since the one with the Indian, the Native American. So there have been at least like 3 main titles released since there, because I didn't play Black Flag, which I think was the next one. I didn't play Syndicate, and I didn't play whatever the newest one is called. What is that one called? So that's 3 games I need to catch up on, and I played all of those on Xbox, so I only have like the first 2 Assassin's Creed games. So 1, 2, and then the sequel to 2, and then the sequel to that sequel, to before you even get to Assassin's Creed 3. You've played 5 games. It's ridiculous. And I'm not gonna do them all in one big row or anything. I'm just gonna cover this one, and I may very well move on to Borderlands afterwards. There are some other things that I could do. I was thinking what I should do is probably Shadows of Mordor afterwards, because there's probably a decent amount of the original Assassin's Creed concepts in the Shadows of Mordor, because a lot of the original Assassin's Creed concepts are prevalent in a lot of games these days. So it would be an interesting comparison for me. Plus, I already have that game.
Right on time.
That's one of the few newer games that I collected because I really wanted to play it. Now, maybe I should hold off on Shadow of Mordor until the sequel comes out, but nah, not really. I don't think there's a terrible reason to do that. If I manage to burn through a few more of my AAA games on my list, it is probably already affecting what the next Steam sale is going to be all about. Because I'm almost certainly going to just focus on buying AAA or at least A-ranked games of some course. Now, of course, I do have the original Tomb Raider games that I could go back and play, and the original Hitman games that I could go back and play if I wanted to, but I really don't think they add anything more to the coverage. They are in my too old category as games that are too old. The Hitman game that's coming out now may be delayed for the next thing. Shouldn't surprise anybody realistically, for as much as, let's face it, Hitman is delayed already, because they changed exactly what they were releasing on their release date. If somebody says I can build an entire house by this date for $100,000, and then they come back and say, well, for $20,000 I can build you 1 bedroom, that just means they've lowered the price and missed the date completely. And that's exactly what Hitman is, even though people seem to be pretty happy with Hitman so far. But as time goes on, I don't think it's grabbing people's attention like crazy. The Tomb Raider reboot sequel is a game that I'll probably want to get uh, on the next sale and play it if I can at some point in the future, maybe in this year, although I don't have no real indication as far as revenue that I'd be able to afford it. Anyways, but if at some point I have to close the gap, I have to play Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, the sequel, before the third Tomb Raider in the rebooted series comes out, and then play the third rebooted series. So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to play Shadows of Mordor right now, if there's even a chance that Shadows of Mordor 2, if assuming there is going to be a 2,
Your soul
it's
shall be
Shadow
mine.
of Mordor, no S, but whatever. I have to play that before the sequel comes out. There's a couple games like that. That's the same reason why I'm playing Assassin's Creed, is I just want to play the whole series. Assassin's Creed itself is the worst example of just a ton of prequels in a game that still might be worth playing. I really enjoyed Ghostbusters the video game. It did have a problem in which it crashed and corrupted my save file. On second thought, I thought it was the game that did that, but my hard drive was also like full of video right then. I've realized I have like a 250 gigabyte SSD right now, and I need bigger, obviously. Videos,
I'll fix you.
an 8-hour video series, when it's recorded at 60 frames per second and the game is really putting out 60 frames per second, which Ghostbusters was doing, because I turned it on to do that, and you can't do that for a lot of games, has really filled up the hard drive. In fact, right now I'm filling up the hard drive still because I haven't uploaded those videos.
I can fix
I'm also,
anything.
as a side note, desperately trying not to break my back. I'm
I'll fix you.
really in pain whenever I try to pick up anything or bend over, and I'm desperately trying to avoid hurting it worse and hoping it will heal and maybe even get stronger. That would be nice. Yeah, Ghostbusters the video game was great. I wish that it looked a little bit better because it's a pretty old game. I wish there was a sequel more than anything else, though. If they could just, Atari, I would assume, owns it, since the company that made the programmed the game went out of business. Terminal Reality, and Terminal Reality made the original Blood Rain game and the Walking Dead game that's not a Telltale game, so it probably wasn't that good. So Ghostbusters is about the only thing that they have under their name that I saw that was of any interest. But it was published by Atari, so maybe? But then I bet Sony has their hooks in it too, and they have some rights. And I bet the reason why we haven't seen a sequel to the game is the same just mismanagement of a property that Sony Movies has been doing for decades.
Powering up. Portals
And
online.
I'm hoping people are willing to get on there and watch the video game
Right on time.
because of the movie, and talk about the movie, and let's face it, since the movie looks so controversial, I'm hoping a lot of people get on the very first episode of my Ghostbusters the game and just get into a big old conversations. because the more they talk about it, and whether they love it or hate it, the more comments on that video, the more that video will get put up and shown to people, which I desperately need that to happen.
What's the flight
I'm
plan? For a little
definitely
while,
losing
I'll take punch.
revenue and views. Now we're back to about $1 a week, and I don't want to see this backslide continue. I think a major part of the backslide is that my biggest video was simply the Whisper of the Old Gods announcement, and I can't make another Hearthstone video about that, though, and catch people's attention. And frankly, there's just not a lot going on right now. I was thinking about playing maybe the Division, and I'm like, no, by the time I even got around to playing that game, it would be ridiculous. It's gonna be kind of ridiculous even playing Borderlands on my own, but I think by comparison, by far, Borderlands in a solo player mode versus the Division, the way the Division looks, having not played it, it's ridiculous. Same is true for Destiny. I don't even know if you can really play Destiny in a single player mode. A lot of games, they go with this multiplayer, what would you call it? A multiplayer community style of game. A lot of them are making certain types of games that I'll just never cover.
Stay on target.
There's this interesting game that I just saw a review on that's kind of a it's like a Telltale game, but it's about, I think, the Tehran Revolution in the 70s. I'm like, well, that would be certainly a different type of video game for me to cover. You don't get a lot of games about political movements. Oddly enough, yeah, it's like civil rights movements. No, I don't think there's any video games. They may have talked about it in Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego, and that's about it. Alright, so I'm not making any progress here with the Warlock. Let's move on to the Hunter. Let's get some things done. Let's try to get something here. Playing on casual, not trying to do anything fancy and still not winning. Inherently, that's the problem with recording this series in a nutshell. Every second extra I spend recording this one recording, I'd like to get these things down to 30 minutes. If I could get a much higher victory rate, look at this deck, 32% wins. If I was winning 75% of the time, 80% of the time, maybe I could run episodes down to 30 minutes, 20 minutes. I certainly could have done 30-minute episodes on Ghostbusters, but since there's only like 8 areas anyways, they all ran about an hour anyways, so I just did that. Which doesn't help when I'm trying to stretch out that time slot and have more episodes, but I really can't just create more episodes by making shorter episodes when there's no natural place to have a break. What else is going on? Let's see, I spent one night watching this TV show on Netflix called Heartless, that's like a German TV series about 2 twins that are like succubuses that can suck the life out of people, and they have to survive, but if they can't really stop themselves once they start sucking, and if they go too far, the people will burst into flames. So it's this weird kind of magic story. Let's see. this one would give 2 1/1s, and then if I did this, whenever a friendly beast dies.
Today, I don't have to be a princess.
Let's go ahead and hit the face. So yeah, I spent one night watching all of that on Netflix, and after that I was like, okay, it's time to put away the Netflix, time to get back to work. Someone asked me why do I bother to work, because I talk a lot about like I need to get to work, I need to get more done, why I'm falling behind, and they're like, well, why do you even bother? And I'm like, well, in a different situation, in a more normal person situation, this would be my only income. This would be the thing feeding me, and guess what? The revenue and the views right now are nowhere close to feeding me for even one meal, let alone a week's or a month's worth of meals. So I'm trying to build a business here. Oh, that's what I explained to him. But it is kind of a funny thing to take that thought for a second and just think about it. It's like, why does anybody work? And it's like, well, because we kind of have to.
Oh, shoot.
And even though I kind of don't have to, I kind of want to. Like, what would my situation be different if I didn't record these videos and talk about them? I would be sitting around watching TV or playing video games, which is kind of what I'm doing anyways. The only difference is I wouldn't be sharing my experiences with anyone, and I would never really be making any kind of record of my actions, which isn't something that you like have to do, but it's something I would like to do. So I don't think things would desperately change. I'm also kind of severely committed now. I've spent several $100s on video games, and I've gotten a lot out of it, but when my Steam amount on purchasing has been probably $200, $300, maybe even $400. Some of the big ticket games I've bought are the $60 each, so that's easy to run that number up with every new purchase. On top of that, you're talking at least $1,000 on a brand new computer that needs probably a new video card as soon as the next generation of video cards comes out, and definitely needs a whole new bigger SSD in it. So there's two things right there that needs to be improved upon. Now as far as everything else in the computer, it's not that bad. I think I may have fixed my server, but I haven't worked on it enough to guarantee that I have. Or even if I haven't fixed it, I've hit the point where I can't do anything more with it.
Well played.
So I'm gonna try and wrap it up, and at the end of the day I may end up with a server that's set up but has none of the data that it was trying to recover, or I may have a server that's full of data that I'm trying to recover, probably too much data that I'm trying to recover, because I am planning on doing a major cleanup of just deleting things to make way for video from this channel. I watched somebody on YouTube kind of do the Honeycam Studio game. I'm not gonna cover that game. I may never even cover Honeypot, but I think when I saw people actually play Honey Pop, I think the puzzle, the gym matching puzzle element of it, and the dating sim element of it actually does have a real game in there, where the Honeycam Studio feels more like it's just trying to play off of that and has made a very cheap clicker game. Let's see, well this guy's just gonna destroy everything, so I'm just gonna hit this and end the turn. Again, that's really in the same vein as all the romance novels and stories on Steam and just available in general. Like it needs something. It needs something special if it's going to possibly try to maintain and grab my attention. Full Boyfriend, the one where you are playing a dating simulator against pigeons. There's another one where you're playing a dating simulator against personifications of tanks. No, not tanks, battleships. Those
You have the artifact.
games don't have enough in them to catch my attention. And if what in them is really catching my attention is just things that I'd have to censor out in YouTube, then that kind of is a waste of time too. Let's see. So, yeah, moving on. It was kind of surprising just how not much of not a horror game Ghostbusters video game is. I know I'm bouncing all over the place. Sorry. I'm bouncing all over the place as far as different conversations, but yeah. It was very surprising just how much of
Get back!
Ghostbusters could have been jump scares. It could have been set for virtual reality goggles if it came out in 2016. It could have been everything that you kind of don't want in the Ghostbusters story, because Ghostbusters is a comedy, and they played it off so perfectly in the story. The only problem is that they had so much story and so much dialogue that the game elements of the game were pretty bad. Somewhat repetitive and unnecessary. Not terrible. And then there was a big old frame rate drop at the final boss battle, which I think I remember happening when I played it on the 360 too. It's like, ugh. Right in the middle of the boss battle, and you've got this just things chunking. And no excuse for it at all. Long loading screen still. Just shows the engine is not fast enough to load. That's where you're gonna see games like the Talos Principle on newer and newer equipment just look and run better. I think whenever I get around to covering the Talos Principle again with the new equipment, you're gonna see a major improvement on graphics and load and everything, and just no overheating issues. I haven't really run into any overheating issues at all in my new computer. That's good. But well, not lately.
One day, I'll be a real knight.
I think when I was playing The Witcher 3, we still kind of were having some issues there. So modern games still kind of not good enough. And when you have a 970 GTX, the only thing above a 970 GTX are a 980 Ti, and then you go into a Titan, which is technically, I think, just two 980 Ti's, and then you go to a Titan X, which I think maybe just 4 980 Ti's, if I'm right. And when you start going with multiple chip solutions like the Titan and the Titan X, I'm not sure that a lot of video games are even going to be able to do anything with that extra power. Recently updated the NVIDIA graphics cards, and it now has like a multi-frame anti-aliasing thing that it's disabling in a lot of games for me, where it feels like it was just a setting that didn't exist, and now all of a sudden they're saying, we figured out that these games shouldn't do this. Anti-aliasing itself is kind of a weird thing.
To my side.
Because you don't really need anti-aliasing if you just render everything at 10 resolution. So a lot of the settings, a lot of the tricks that show up in games today, I'm hoping they'll go away. We will get back to a simple, just run this at the native resolution of your screen at the highest frame rate, and all the particle effects and everything that you can possibly do will just always, without question, be turned on. And not have long lists of, well, you need this at ultra setting, you need this at maximum, you need this. It's like, how am I supposed to know any of this stuff? I don't want to have to spend 5 hours investigating what's the best setting for my equipment. And that was certainly the reason why I played console games for a long time, besides it also just being cheaper to buy a console and then build a computer. Things would certainly have been different if I hadn't started this YouTube channel. I probably wouldn't have ever built a computer or like really focused in on playing newer games and less niche games, I guess would be the right term. Just going to take this guy out. So now I'm playing some more familiar, more common games, somewhat. Whereas I would be much more picky. They put out a new patch for Diablo 2, so it will run, which is cool. I remember that happened. Oh, man, like, I'm trying to name every single thing that has been mentioned on my Twitter feed for games, and it's barely anything at all. So now that we're not covering new AAA games, does it change anything in my desire to get games recorded? Not really, because my desire to get games recorded as fast as possible is as much about the content ID system and just being over prepared than it was trying to meet an actual deadline, because for example, trying to get the Ghostbusters video game recorded right and released right around the time that the Ghostbusters movie is going to come out. That was one factor, certainly. It was an attempt to be better at planning and think things through a little bit better.
I don't have to be a princess.
I bet there's some more thoughts here. I can say that I've kind of fallen back on watching other people on YouTube too, and what the other people on YouTube are releasing is getting a little bit less, more diverse and random. Like, there's no big game out there right now, which is kind of in this drought. It feels like.
For Argus.
It looks like I'm gonna get this victory. Yep. So, the only way I could have lost, he could have survived that is if he put up armor. Alright, so another 10 gold, and we get one of the quests done. You can even see the gold is there, even though the announcement is not popping up because Hearthstone has become so buggy. So, we just got a hunter. We now need a warrior. Let's put the warrior. 2. I tell you, I really have been thinking about just handing off even the pre-play of Hearthstone to someone else and just say, play all these quests for me up to these points and just let me hop in and play. I think, of course, that would hurt me as any opportunities to learn, but I don't feel like I'm really learning anything in any individual game, particularly when I'm just talking here and not focusing my attention. But even when I'm not, when I am focusing my attention, I've never played a Hearthstone game and said to myself, now I know a new strategy. Or, I probably have said that, but it's been very rare, like 1 in a million battles. Maybe not a million, but whatever. I can't get into the real statistics there. But my point being is that if I handed off Hearthstone to somebody else, that would save me a little bit of time. Maybe an hour every 3 days. Another hour could be another episode. We've kind of gotten down to the point where, like, one...
You wanna blow something up?
one more episode is probably the best we can stretch into it to get more recordings done. I can't right now get into these long marathons, and I've really adopted, which is a healthier attitude, and certainly, but it's not helping me as a video game recorder. I've adopted this strategy of just every recording or every hour of recording, if they're 30 minutes, thing, getting up, walking around the house, and then that turns into a getting up, walking to the refrigerator, getting more food, which is probably not what I need to do, but it is movement, and that is something you're supposed to do every hour, is get up and just stretch your legs. I'm probably never going to become a super health nut, but I do need to probably focus a little bit on not getting blood clots in my legs from sitting for 8 hours straight type stuff. So let's see, we can do this, and then this, and then we'll just do this, and then return.
For the king!
I have some more AAA games I could play if I take things like BioShock out of my Halloween series and put it just as a AAA game. I could certainly play BioShock. That would be interesting and cool. But if I take too many things out of my Halloween list, I feel like at that point we're going to potentially I'm not gonna have anything really to play the next year, and I'm still not up to Halloween. I'm working on the 7th month right now, which is great progress. Nothing to look down upon. See, this one will do 2 damage. So if I did this one, then he'll just do 2 damage anyway.
Job done.
I should probably do like Lego Harry Potter in Halloween too. I could do Lego Lord of the Rings or Lego Harry Potter for Halloween. Either one would be good. I just saw the trailer came out today for J.K. Rowling story that I guess really isn't a Harry Potter story because it's not about Harry Potter, but it's in the same universe. So that's certainly something interesting to look upon. And again, I'm not a super Harry Potter fan,
Back to work.
but I like new fiction as a concept. Above anything else, I just love the concept of let's get some new fantasy, some new fiction in there. The Harry Potter stuff really isn't even that imaginative. It's the same old things. It's ghosts, it's griffins, it's wizards. There wasn't a ton of new stuff there, but she handled what she did touch upon well. So I can't really hold that against her. So managed to kill everybody I had. I don't think it's really gonna matter too much. Kinda shame they didn't play that first. Let's take this armor and attack. In the turn. So.
The Frost Wolves stand ready.
Yeah. Again, I'm still in this attitude. It's like, well, I just am gonna have to struggle. There's nothing I can really do.
Ready to flee.
Yeah, we got this victory. Good. I'm glad to have another victory. Yeah, I just don't know how to get more time in my day. There we go. So we get the announcement for both of those. So let's quickly, now that we're 110 over, play as the Warlock and hope that we get a quick disconnecting victory. I wish I could just not sleep and have energy. And I wish I could just always be motivated and in the right mood and ready to record.
Gul'dan.
And have all the free time and have no demands
I must protect
and
the
yet
one.
it seems like you never have that freeness. And the thought of if I was it's The Shining basically. The guy comes to this hotel to look after it while it's shut down for the winter, and he figures he'll just have months and months to go to write, and instead of writing his book, what does he do? He gets haunted by ghosts and goes crazy and tries to kill his family members. And like, I think this is probably also a great example of why I'd be a terrible writer. Trying to write a movie, script, a book, or anything. I could never motivate myself. I don't think I could get that done. Just gonna draw the card, and he'll have an extra crystal, so I'll destroy his extra crystal before he can even do any damage. I have done a ton of recording though, and I could, if I carefully planned it out, I could phase out a time slot. But I don't think I can phase out my AAA time slot, my 7 o'clock time frame. I could put Honey Pop in it, certainly. We could go full mature. I mean, that is the mature adults time slot in there. So if I was gonna just do something that is a erotic
Another night
game,
on the prowl.
I could squeeze that in there, but I don't even know if I want to do that. And then I just bring up Honey Bob again because that's the one game I've got. Stupid, they shouldn't approach this. When it just gets down to it, I could have done something else. I am very, very close to my 100,000 views,
You
and
have
I've
the artifact.
talked to my artist and told him I want a picture or video of that celebrating it. We'll see if that really happens. It is a big milestone. That being said, 100,000 views on YouTube doesn't equal exactly what you'd like it to. I see a lot of people with who get 100,000 views on just one video, on every video they put out, and they're still complaining that they're not getting enough money. And I don't know what the deal is with that. That doesn't seem right. If I was getting even like 302 views on every video I put out, and I consistently put out videos like I do, I think I should be making enough that I would be set. Because right now most of my videos are getting like 4 views, and I'm getting about $1 a week. If you multiply 100 times those 4 views, and I got 400 views on every video, and then you multiply 100 to that $1 a week, I'd be getting $1 a week. So, not great, but at least that starts to that starts to make sense. $100 a week gets you really, it doesn't get you enough, but then if 100 was just multiplied by 4, so it was $400 a week, then you'd only need 1,200 views per video, and then you'd be getting $400 a week, which is still probably below minimum wage, but something that's reasonable. So if you double that again and you get 2,400 views on every video, that should be $800 a week. That's a pretty decent income. So
Magic detected.
why are people that are getting like 20, 30, 40,000 views complaining, saying they're not getting enough money, when my calculation just roughly here says you'd be getting $800 a week if you put out as many videos as I did, which some people do come close, but I guess I have become the king of overfilling my viewers' cups, I suppose. Seems like there's just something missing there. Maybe it is. It certainly is that I am not editing, but I know a lot of YouTubers that are not editing and just putting up footage out there. I think what part of the problem is just a perspective, and we all have this perspective. But if you're from a New York or San Francisco, you probably just need to live. Do need $3,000-$4,000 a week just on expensive housing and food costs. $4,000 a week may be a little too high, but maybe not. And so from that perspective, maybe they are getting $800 a week, and they're just saying that's not enough. Now, from my perspective, $800 a week seems like it would do me fine for probably a decent amount of time. It's not quite enough to pay all my bills and all the food, but it's pretty close. And of course, from the perspective of anyone from any other third world country that's much more poverty stricken, $800 a week may be like enough to retire on in the first week.
Another
So
night on the
I don't know. I don't know if complaining gets some more money. I don't know if people just complain. Something like that. Certainly not gonna see me flaunting expensive watches and fancy cars if I did, even if I was like a millionaire. I just don't see myself being like that. Particularly because I would just stick it in retirement. I had a job for 5 years and I was getting a lot of overtime and a lot of money, and I put as much as I could into a retirement. Unfortunately, now I've been out of working jobs that gave me a lot of money for a long time, so I'm still probably very far behind what I should have in retirement, but when the opportunity presented itself, that was my goal. Let's see. Play this. Play this. And I just want to cover this topic real quickly. There's certain people that want their video game reporters to act ethically. That group of people should include everyone to some extent. And there are certainly people in that group that have gone too far in digging up dirt on news reporters. But just at the core of it, they dig and they find it. They find dirt. And so, as a video game reporter myself, as any news reporter, it is at the core of it my responsibility to keep my nose clean. That's why disclosure is the name of the game. That's why whenever I start covering the games I get from free from indiegala.com, because they give away games for free. I don't know if I've ever said their website name even, or from some Twitter giveaways or something. Nobody's ever given me a game because I'm a reviewer. I've simply entered contests and gotten them for free, or given them my email and traded it that way to get on their mailing list. When I start covering those games, I'm going to make sure to disclose I got those games for free. And that's pretty much the only thing I even have to disclose. I have, as far as I know, 0 relationships. I don't even have friends of friends of friends of anybody in the video game industry. I follow a few people on Twitter that make video games, but only as a journalist, basically. So, I have every intention of keeping my nose clean. And it feels a lot of times like when somebody gets caught doing something unethical and there's consequences for that, the video game press is like, oh, come on guys, be cool. We've been getting away with these things for this forever, and it's a laid back environment. It's not real journalism. It's not like we are investigating politicians or war crimes or anything like that. So we can have side jobs that come into conflict, and we can have relationships and affairs with the video game people, and we can be super buddies with the people. And I'm like, you know what? You really can't. If journalism is ever going to regain what it should be, which it's kind of losing that even in basic journalism. Every single journalist of every single genre, sports journalist, political journalist, video game journalist, need to keep their nose clean. They need to disclose things. If they've done things in the past, they need to come out right at the front of it, because obviously people are going to start digging The internet is great for that, and people are going to find out. And so I kind of wish I had something to confess right now myself, but the only disclosure I can make is I have won some free games through Indie Gala. Not even winning, you get them for free if you just click the button and enter your email. And I may have won 1 or 2 free Steam keys that were posted on Twitter real fast. That's all I can say. So yeah, people keep their nose clean, and it's not just for journalists, politicians too. It's like, if a politician does something wrong, they should suffer the consequences and not complain about it and not say that people were digging dirt up on them and they found it. I mean, sure, it sucks when people are trying to find dirt on you, but you're the one that created that dirt at the end of the day. So I'm not officially falling down on any group's side. I am totally neutral. I am not dying on any of those mountains. But I will side heavily on not having dirt and disclosing everything you can. And that's as much as I really want to talk about that topic, so don't comment down below really about that. So we're done with this recording. We got all the quests done. We have 160 extra gold. Let's see, we can still see Goblins vs. Gnome is available, but at this rate, we're just gonna buy 100 packs of the Whispers of the Old Gods, and we still can't see it, so I can't make those episodes. So now I go play Assassin's Creed, I guess. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All of that helps out. If you want to support me, you can click on my name, Rydo. On the right will be a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.